and they've got to do better than they're doing already.
Jay, that's not a good sign.
It's a bad sign.
Yeah.
But again, there's time to figure this out, and there's got to be a lot of education. But people have to take this seriously, and I'm sure it's not just college-age students who are hanging out at these bars. There's people, that are running around, and you see them at restaurants and stuff like that, and there's a lot of people who are out there saying, finally, I'm free. I can go do whatever I want. Well, that's not the right attitude to take. If we're all going to get through this and head back towards normal, it's going to take a long time to do that. And if we're going to sit here and just flip the switch and go back to the way we were, that's not going to work. No. And that's what the task force is saying right now.
Right. We haven't learned our lesson, or we're going to have to learn our lesson soon.
Yeah. So, anyways,
let's switch gears real quick because we have Andy Lopez showing up here in about 4 or 5 minutes. But kind of big news that we kind of already knew. Jason Terry is going to be probably announced in the next day or so that he's the new assistant coach.
I think that's great. I think that's a great hire. Jason Terry brings a lot of visibility. He was an NBA player for a long time. I'm sure his primary function will be to recruit and attract good players. But if you've been playing as long as he has and had the NBA career that he's had, I'm certain he's got a lot to offer on the court. So I think that's a great hire for Arizona. We'll see. We'll see how he can do as a coach.
I had him and A.J. Brown on the show right when they broadcast the U of A replay from the Final Four championship game, April 2nd, 3rd, something like that. He was on the show a day later, made no mention of it, obviously, but the word came out, at least I had heard maybe 4 or 5 days later, that this guy was on the radar, big-time radar.
Right.
It came out maybe about 10 days later, you could start to hear that it was going to happen. Another 10 days later, it was going to happen. Now we just waited for the job to open up.
Yeah, the official announcement can't be made. There's certain requirements that the U of A has about how long a job has to be open and whatnot. But everybody's known for a month or so that Jason Terry was going to be the assistant coach here. Again, he seems to be a fun-loving, well-liked kind of guy.
Yeah.
I haven't had a lot of personal experience with him. I saw him, for instance, a couple of the basketball reunions that they've had here, and I've seen him on the court, and he seems to be a very fun guy. Apparently, Sean Miller thinks he makes a good coach, and we're going to see if he does.
Right. Well, I think the one thing that's going to help him is he relates to the players.
Well, that's what they need.
Mm-hmm.
That's clearly what they need.
No question.
Of course, it's going to be interesting if they all speak the same language, because we've also heard now that there's 2 more international players that have been signed by the U of A. So that gives 6 international players who are going to be playing basketball for Arizona whenever they start playing again. That's a big number.
I want to talk to you more about that at the 6:45 after we have Andy.
Right.
Just about the chemistry and things like that, because we all know if you don't have the chemistry, you don't have a team.
That makes such a big difference. What you ended up hearing about a number of these teams that we thought were really, really good. Then after the fact, you start to hear that their chemistry wasn't all that great.
Right.
And, you can have all these great players, but if they can't play together, if they can't stand each other, then those teams are hard to it's hard for them to get to a certain level. I mean, they may win a bunch of games based on talent.
Right.
But when you got to run through a wall for some guy and you don't want to, that's where you have issues.
How do you say pass the ball in Lithuanian? I'm going to Google that. I don't
really know, but it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I'm optimistic about what we're seeing just because it's something different.
We'll talk more about that at 6:45 after we talk to Andy. I'm looking forward to that. Let's take the quick break, get a hold of Andy Lopez, and come back here on 1030 The Voice.
We're Tucson's trusted voice for local news and talk. 1030 The Voice.
Time to update those old kitchen cabinets? Call the Window Depot today. The Window Depot is not only the #1 warehouse for windows and doors, we now have a great selection of kitchen and bath cabinets at Tucson's best prices. The Window Depot is Tucson's top spot for granite and quartz countertops to finish the new kitchen or the replacement of that old worn-out Formica. So call us today at 290-8545 or 622-6430. The Window Depot, windows, doors, granite, and new kitchens.
1030 The Voice. In times of crisis, information is vital.
The United States Surgeon General, Admiral Adams, welcome.
Great to talk with you again, Hugh.
Senator Mitch McConnell.
Good morning, Hugh. Glad to be with you.
Senator Ted Cruz.
Hugh, good morning. We're doing terrific.
Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Senator Tom Cotton. He joins me now. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Hugh. It's good to be on with you.
Trusted local news and talk about coronavirus. 1030 The Voice.
This is The Voice, 1030, Tucson's trusted news and talk.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And now on the phone, we have former U of A baseball coach and one of my favorite guys, Andy Lopez. Andy, how the heck are you?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing well, and glad to be on here with you and Jay, man. I'm doing okay.
Let me ask you real quick. 5 years after you announced your retirement, how are you doing? What are you up to?
Earth-shaking news, man. You go to Safeway and you figure out, do I need the 5 banana bunch, or do I need the 3, or should I get the 4? If I get 5, they might get a little stale. If I get 3, you know what I mean? Earth-shaking.
I hate you.
Hey, Andy, how's your health? I got to ask you that first.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you asking. You know what? Every time I go in every 6 months, and hey, by the grace of God, everything's great. I've been very I've always been because of my mother and father. I grew up in a very disciplined home, so I've always had the discipline to work out, and that's what caught me so well. I just thought I could beat genetics, right? Laughing, everybody's laughing at that one, right? Myself included. Because my mother, my father, grandmother, grandfather, older brother all had heart issues and open heart surgery and what have you. And but I worked out every day of my life. I jogged all the time. So now I walk every day, and then during the summer months I swim. But I feel great, and so far so good. I keep looking for a warranty every time I go to my cardiologist, but they don't give those out, man. It's not like I'm buying a set of tires,
No. You're going without a net, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me ask you a dumb question, because I don't know if we asked you this when you retired, but had all this happened with your heart, not happened with your heart, do you think you would have continued to even be coaching now?
Yeah, no. I'm 66 now, so I would have. This would have been my first year out. I came back in 2012, and Greg Byrne and Rocky LaRose were good enough. They wanted to redo my contract. I had 3 years left of my contract in 2012, and I had a 5-year deal, and I had 3 years left on it. And I told him, I said, no, I'm good. I don't really want to extend beyond. And I was very honest with both of them. I said, look, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to do this when he's, 65, 60, in that. I'm just not going to be that guy. That was never, because here's the thing, like, I never, ever had a thought of being a Division I baseball coach. That was never a dream or a plan. I just stumbled into a job at a high school job and did that for 5 years, and then the college program called me, and next thing I know, I'm getting called by Pepperdine, then I'm getting called by Florida, and then I'm getting called by Jim Livengood here in Tucson. And, I credit my mom and dad, my faith, most important thing in my life, but my mom and dad, they always said, I can still hear my dad, man, mijos, si no vas a hacerlo bien, no hacelo. Right? If you're not going to do it right, don't do it, son. If you're not going to do it right, don't do it. So everywhere that they called and said, would you be our baseball coach, I went there with one goal in mind, that was to do a very good job, and things worked out. But with that in mind, I made a commitment a long time ago, to be very candid with Steve. I made a strong commitment to myself and to my wife of 37 years. I married her in 1982, and it was my second year as a college coach. I said, Linda, we're going to start having kids. That was our plan, which we ended up doing. I said, Linda, if I ever look like I'm taking this job over the family, please stop me. And there were a couple times when it looked that way for her. There were a couple times, one time at Pepperdine and one time at Florida. She said, hey, you told me. I said, yeah, I appreciate it. So I said, I would never. I was on the radio, believe it or not, this morning back to Gainesville, Florida. Believe it or not, I did a radio show back to Gainesville, Florida. And they asked me a similar question. I said, you know what? By the grace of God, national championships and National Coach of the Year awards and Hall of Fame and all this other stuff, I said it would mean absolutely nothing now. I understand it now. It would mean nothing if I didn't have my wife and kids. If I didn't have a relationship with my wife and kids, these awards would mean absolutely zero. So I had a plan to get out. It sped up a little bit. It sped up a little bit after the heart surgery, but no, I was hoping to go to about 65, and that was about it.
One of the favorite things that you do, and I really love, is you quote your dad in Spanish just now. You quote other people, and my favorite saying from you is "Somewhere in America."
Yeah, man. Well, you know what? I got that doing nothing at Dominguez Hills. One day I was, people don't realize it, but that job, my first college job, I had to drag the field with my own personal car. Our John Deere broke the second week I was on campus, and it was one of those things where they say, oh, we're going to get it fixed, we're going to get it fixed, we're going to fix it. Well, they never fixed it. So I got frustrated and started dragging the field with my own car, and I did that for the 6 years I was there. And there were a lot of days when I'd be dragging that field all by myself at 11:30 in the morning, because I taught classes there as well, and I'd be dragging the field in between a teaching class that I had, and I said that to myself. I said, I wonder if someone is doing this somewhere else in America. So I just asked that of myself, but then I started translating it to my players from the standpoint of saying, hey, you know what? Somewhere in America, someone's getting better today. Like someone's catching that ground ball that just went by you because you didn't dive and leave your feet. There's someone in America that just left their feet and made that play. So, you know what, we might as well do it here in Tucson on a regular basis,
Right.
And it carried on. Oh, my God, I talked to one of my players today because he heard the radio broadcast in Florida, who pitched for me, a young guy named Eddie Rojas from New York City, and he's very successful now in Orlando. And he texted me right after the radio show. I was on at 10 o'clock this morning, our time. And he said, hey, Lopes, I heard you on the radio. You sound great, this and that. We were texting back and forth. And believe it or not, Steve, he said, somewhere in America. I laughed. I went, dang, man, there's a lot of knuckleheads out there that remember that line.
I know I do.
Andy, I think you can arguably say that, you coached college baseball in probably the three states that are most prominent for, high school and college baseball: California, Arizona, and Florida. Talk to us a little bit about the differences, in the atmospheres at the three different programs, because certainly none of them were the same as the other. I mean, I'm sure Arizona was different from Florida, which was different from Pepperdine. I'd be interested to hear how are they the same? How are they different?
Great question, man. That's a really good question. Okay, I'm going to try to be as quick as I can with this. Pepperdine. Okay, we won the national championship in 1992. Well, let's go for this way. Pepperdine, my sports information director would sometimes sit outside of the press box with his shirt off, getting a sun. No, this is a true story. I was the best man in his wedding, and I love him. He's an athletic director now at a Division III school out in Indiana. Great guy, Mike Zapolsky. I love Mike. But he would sit outside of the press box with his shirt off. He was in great shape. With his shirt off, and announce the game. So now batting for the Pepperdine Waves, Mark Wazakowski, who played for me. Mark Wazakowski, and Mark would come up and hit, and now batting Steve Rodriguez, and he'd come up and Zap, we called him Zap, Zapolsky, would be sitting in the stands on a nice warm day in Malibu with his shirt off getting a suntan. So that was Pepperdine, all right? That was Pepperdine. And we won the national championship in 92. We flew into L.A., and there were like 18 people at the airport waiting for us, and 16 of them were my relatives, cousins, aunts, and uncles, right? Okay, then I take the job at Florida, and my second year there, we go into Omaha, and we're one game away from playing for the national title. The famous Warren Morris walk-off for LSU, 96 against Miami. We played LSU. Winner of that game plays Miami, and we lost 2-1 to LSU. So we fly home. We finished third in the nation, right? We finished third in the nation. We had won the national championship in 92, 18 people. We fly in, land in Gainesville, and there's 5,000 people at the airport. Wow. And I'm going, wait a minute, where are we going? We finished third. What are we doing here? And then you come here, and for me, this was the best spot. Mm-hmm. There was perspective here. I loved Florida, but there was a little bit of a lack of perspective at times. Here, there was perspective. There was tremendous support. It just felt good here. It always felt good for me here. I had this conversation a lot with other coaches. I said, you know what? This is a really good spot. People come out if you have a good product. And you know what? If you don't have a good product, no, they're not going to come out. But that's true anywhere else. But in Gainesville, if you didn't have a good product, holy smokes, did you hear it?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd go to restaurants and people would talk to you about it. I mean, I'm not lying to you.
Well,
I took my kids every Monday. I took my kids to Toys R Us, and I had one bad year. I had one really sour year in 1999. We just did not play well. Had some injuries and what have you. And I took my kids every Monday. I took my kids to Toys R Us because they were little back then. That was kind of 4 kids and me. And I'm shopping with my kids in Toys R Us in Gainesville, Florida. And I loved it there, but this is the difference. And I got people to, hey, Coach, you got to get this program going. Hey, Coach, Coach, we got to win. Like, oh, man, hey, guys, relax. Let's relax here a little bit.
It's the SEC.
I never felt that here in Tucson, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Well, I think the fact that that this is where you've decided to stay, maybe says a lot about that.
Yes, without a doubt. When I announced that I was retiring, I had a lot of people in the West Coast, in Southern California, said, "So you're coming back?" And I went, "No, we're going to stay here." What? And I said, "Yeah, man, we love it here. I mean, we really do. 3 of our 4 kids are here, and working one's at the director of the Boys Club down in South Tucson. Works for the nonprofit for the Sunnyside School District, and my other one's a very successful dance teacher at Walden Grove. My gosh, she's won 6 state championships in a row. So, I used to be like the important guy in the family. I'm a nobody compared to her. And then my other son's out in Texas. Lost his mind and he's going into coaching. He's out there. He's a head coach at Howard. Yeah, he's a head coach at Howard Junior College. He was the pitching coach for 2 years. Now he's the head coach. So we love it here, man. It's a good town. It's a great place.
You had to have at least one coach fall off that tree.
You know what? My brother said that to me. My mom and dad are both home with the Lord now, but I'm sure my mom would say that to me too. Mijo, one of these kids had to go into coaching. Yeah. So Michael's out there. I just talked to him about an hour ago. He's out there like every other college coach right now, trying to figure out what to do with his time. But yeah, and it's a real joy for me. I get to go out there. Steve, and second guess all his moves. So it's kind of nice.
You've been waiting for that for all your life, probably.
Exactly.
Hey, we got a couple of minutes, about 90 seconds. I hope you stay for another segment. But I wanted to talk to you.
Sure.
You were in the business for a long time. Just how the game has changed in terms of the players of changing it. How it was coaching back 30 years ago to when you finally left. And go ahead. We got about a minute and a half. Yeah.
Okay. I think the biggest difference, and I saw the wave coming. I saw it coming even after the 2012 season. The 2012 group, Mejia, Rickard, Refsnyder, Mejia's Breen, Stephanie's Breen, those guys were very unique. They were very different. To be very candid, they were very different. They were receptive to being challenged. They were receptive to correction. They were very receptive. I was tough. I'm not going to lie. I was tough on the field. I was very tough. And I saw the wave coming, Steve, that, that wave wasn't going to work very well anymore. And so in a strange, ironic way, I probably got out at the right time. I really did. And I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent, but it's just how it was and how it is. I think it's a different world. I know I stay in close contact with some coaching buddies of mine, who are in the Pac-12, and they tell me stories, and I go, wow, that's a little different. That's a little different.
I think you can say, though, it's like that across the board. I mean, players are just different because of what they're going through on their way up. So, yeah, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break here, come back, talk about your time at U of A, maybe some funny stories or two, and maybe with other coaches or whatever your experiences. Come back here on 1030 The Voice. Thanks, everybody.
CBS News at the top and bottom of every hour. 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Buyers were out in force on Wall Street. Stocks extended their winning streak to a third day on rising hopes for an economic rebound. The Dow Jones Industrial Average jumped 553. The S&P gained 44. The Nasdaq added 72. Work-from-home demand for its personal computers failed to rescue HP in its latest quarter. It reported lower sales, a sign that the pandemic disrupted its supply chain. Revenue fell 11%. With oil prices remaining depressed because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Chevron is cutting jobs. It plans to eliminate up to 15% of its workforce. That's about 6,000 of its 45,000 non-gas station employees. Walt Disney will take it slow as it reopens its Florida theme parks. It plans to begin admitting guests in mid-July, weeks after Universal Studios and SeaWorld. The company says it wants more time to build trust with customers. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
CBS News Update. America's fight against the coronavirus reaches a painful new mark. The death toll has now topped 100,000 here. The president has not yet spoken publicly about it, but House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has.
100,000 people in about 100 days. Think back 100 days. Think, we just observed Memorial Day. Think back to President's Weekend. Would you have ever thought that we'd be observing 100,000 people?
CBS News correspondent Nora O'Donnell with more on testing that it turns out may not be very reliable.
Tonight, there's growing concern that the rate of infections is once again rising in half of U.S. states, just as those states are lifting restrictions. Now, that news comes at the same time the CDC is issuing a warning about those antibody tests many were relying on to see if they have immunity to the virus. Well, it turns out the tests may be wrong 50% of the time.
CBS News Update. I'm Matt Piper.
Go local. Make the switch. At Hughes Federal Credit Union, we offer customized solutions and get you what you need faster. Like our quick and easy credit cards and auto loans. All done online from start to finish. Save time using mobile banking, bill pay, mobile deposit, and mobile pay with just a few clicks. Live large, accessing 30,000 plus surcharge-free ATMs and free debit card choices. Make the switch to Hughes today. Visit hughesfcu.org/switch. Certain restrictions apply, insured by NCUA.
This is Bill Buckmaster. Coming up Thursday during the noon hour, we'll talk with Dr. Victoria Mazes. Dr. Mazes is the executive director of the Andrew Weil Center for Integrative Medicine at the University of Arizona. Plus, how consumer buying habits may never be the same on 1030 Tucson's Voice for Trusted News Talk. Anywhere in the world live listening, always on buckmastershow.com.
Tucson's source for trusted news and talk. 1030, The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And on the phone we have former UA baseball coach Andy Lopez. I'm curious, Andy, when you decided to retire 5 years ago, this week, in fact, did you say, what did you say? I'm going to miss what? I'm going to miss the most.
Yeah. I'm going to miss the camaraderie that you have. Like I said, I was tough on my guys, but, you know, I always promised I was going to treat them like men and get them ready for life. Because I said many a time, hey, you know, when I used to have a saying with our guys, hey, when you're having a really bad day, fellas, you know, your girlfriend broke up with you, you failed an English test, you're 1 for your last 25 at the plate. When you're having a really bad day, find a mirror, look at it, and smile. Because, fellas, guess what? It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. No, I mean, you know, you're going to get, I know you don't, but you're going to have a mortgage to pay, you're going to get older, you're going to raise kids. It's going to be, I said, man, this is the best time of your life. Enjoy this. But know this, it's going to, when you have bad days, it's going to get worse now. So I miss the camaraderie of telling young athletes, hey, this is what's in store for you, so you got to be tough mentally. You know, you got to be ready to go and be confident and work hard and get after it in life. You know, it's nothing's free and nothing's given to you. And I used to tell them all the time, you know, don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. You know, just get it done. One way or the other, get it done. So I miss the camaraderie. I miss that a lot. Still do to this day. I mean, I know what it's like to sit in a clubhouse in a rain delay, and guys are making fun of everybody and this and that. And, you know, Coach Lopez included. Someone's doing an imitation of Coach Lopez, walking around and giving stupid sayings or whatever. And so I miss the camaraderie, and I'll always miss that. But there are a lot of things that I don't miss, you know. So I'm okay. I'm okay.
You know, Andy, I want to give a little shout out to your daughter Christy, who I had an opportunity to work with for a little while over at the Sugar Skulls, and we were looking forward to seeing what she was going to put on the field over there with the dance team. But I got to tell you, you know, in hearing you talk about your coaching and your philosophy, and you know, I'm a tough guy. I'm going to tell you, your daughter got that too, because I could tell that, you know, she had some really high standards for what she was expecting from that team, and as I recall, and I think she kicked 2 girls off the team on the first day.
And, I was going to tell you, she called me up and told me that.
And I thought, she told us, and I'm like, okay, I think we got the right person, because, because that team had some issues in its first year, and you could tell that she was grabbing it by the horns, and she was going to take that thing and do something with it. I hope she gets an opportunity to continue to do that.
I do too.
But you mentioned your son who's now a coach. So how much are you doing the, helping him out? Are you waiting for him to call you to help you out? Are you how's that working?
Jay, it's been a blessing, man. Like I said, I mentioned earlier in the interview that, one of the commitments I made to my wife is, hey, we weren't going to put anything in our house of any accolades or awards or trophies or whatever, nothing. We're going to let our 4 kids come into our home and find their own identity. If it was athletics, great. And if it's not, so be it. Our girls gravitated into dance. You mentioned Christy. And my boys just gravitated into athletics and what have you. So that was a blessing. They played for me for 4 years. We're on that national championship club. And so I really am thankful. I thank the Lord tremendously, man. I have a great relationship with my kids. I can't thank God enough for that. And my wife, I have an unbelievably good relationship with all 4 of them. So it's really easy for me. Michael calls a lot. When he first got into, the position of as a pitching coach, I worked with the pitchers, so we talked about that, and he pitched for me, so we shared ideas with that. But I won't lie to you, he was here last summer, and he got offered the job in July. He was out here recruiting. He was a pitching coach, and he got offered the head job, and he was in our home. He happened to be in our home. He was recruiting in Phoenix, so he was spending a couple of days here. And he looked at me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Go get it, man. Go get it. You're the head guy." To the victor go the spoils. Like I say, Mike, if you do a good job, you'll get another job. And now here's the other side of it. If you do a real bad job, you got to go find a spot, right? I said, but to the victor go the spoil. And I was so blessed, Jay. The next night we sat at the kitchen table here, and we went over practice plans. Like, what do you think? How this, that. How much time to do this? How much time to do that? And, man, when I went to bed that night, I went, wow, that 38 years of knocking my head against a wall. And, people always, oh, you got 1,200 wins. I go, yeah, I have 600 losses, too. There 600 nights I went to bed and looked at the ceiling and went, what in the world am I doing in this job? God almighty, get me out of it. So it's been a blessing. It really has, and I hope he gets a chance. We'll see what happens. But he's a good young man, so he's got good work ethic. I'm sure he'll make it somewhere.
Good for him, Andy. But just so you know, I did the math. Okay, you had 718 losses.
Oh my God! There you go.
1,146 wins, though. So that's that's still good. But I just want to make sure we like to. I still got that journalist in me. I'm a detailed guy. I want to make sure I got the right info. So. And
I tell that to people all the time. I go, man, can you believe that? 700 times I went to bed going, what am I doing here?
That was the cause of the heart problem.
Yeah, exactly. I had 4 clogged arteries. That had to be one of them.
Yeah. Let me ask you real quick, because of your time at U of A, I'm curious if you went into Kendrea's office one time or Lute's office one time and just kind of shoot the breeze and maybe talk shop or whatever, a conversation of grabbing information, 2 smart guys in the room.
Yeah, you know what? More so, to me, that was the most unique thing about working here, and I really enjoyed the heck out of it. My last couple of years, we obviously moved to High Corbett. But, for my first, 11, 12 years or so here, we were all in McHale. And so, we'd see each other in the hallways and talk about this, talk about that. So, yeah, there were times I talked to Jim Rosborough about stuff. And, I remember talking to Mike Candrea and Larry Ray and Sean, we talk about things, and Mike Stoops. And, it was it was very unique. It was very unique. I thought that was a really unique setting, very beneficial. I was an older coach by then in some respects, but man, I used to tell my assistant Mark Wazakowski, hey, Waz, when you see these guys, man, say hello to them and ask them a question or two, because, boy, you got a lot of wisdom walking around these hallways, man. So it was kind of nice. Yeah,
there always was, and when you mention all those names, there was, somebody like Mike Stoops, who was a young guy, and trying to feel his way around to being a college coach. But what kind of resources you had, with all those guys, somebody like Lute or Mike Candrea, those people who've been around 100 years. There wasn't there was a good opportunity there for even you as the old coach to come up with some ideas and some thoughts.
Yeah. I said it to my wife one day. I said, what an amazing place. Really, what an amazing place. You know, at the time, Coach Kendall was still with us, Hall of Famer. You know, Coach Olson was around, Hall of Famer. Mike Andrea, Hall of Famer. You know, I said, man, you know, you're walking around, you're just bumping into guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame, and I mean, what a real neat place to be working at, you know. And you know, the nicest thing is everybody was really open and receptive. There was no standoffish type of thing. Like I said, I mean, you know, hey, I'm not gonna lie. I had opportunities to leave here. I had an opportunity to go back to UCLA. I had an opportunity to be honest, I had an opportunity to go to Auburn. And you know, no, I really enjoyed being here. I mean, this is a good job. This was a good job. It's a great town, and like I said, it's a good college, but it has perspective. And to me, that's a pretty good balance. It really is.
Were you behind the mic this year before the season started or during the season started? Because I knew you were doing some work with that.
My first weekend, how about this? I had the World Baseball Classic. I got hired for that. They were going to have those games at Keno, and that was the week that this thing went down. And that was my first weekend. I had Arizona, Oregon State here in Tucson. And in about a 3-hour time period, I'd gotten scout reports from Jay Johnson and from the coach at Oregon State now. So I was prepping for that, and I was prepping. Darren Sutton and I were going to do some of the games for the World Baseball Classic. So I was on the phone with Darren for about, and it was a 3-hour period where all of a sudden I was getting ready to do a couple games in the World Baseball Classic in that weekend here in Tucson, and in 3 hours I had nothing, and I haven't had anything since.
That was a tough time for all of us, definitely.
What a unique thing, huh?
Yeah,
I mean, this is some days. I don't know about you guys, but I wake up some days and go, man, am I in a dream? Wait a minute, what's going on? How many times can I watch the 1978 World Series on ESPN?
Well, that's a horrible World Series to watch if you're a Dodger fan. Okay, I'll just I know that. I keep watching. They a couple times they've showed the Game 1 of the '88 World Series, the Kirk Gibson homer. I just have that on rewind, and I keep watching that one over and over again.
There you go.
And there's been trouble since, both you LA guys.
So Andy, here's a question, because I think one of the best things that happened to U of A baseball was when you were here and they made the move to High Corbett, and that was, oh man, you know, that is so much fun. You know, it's just so fun to go out there. Were you at all behind that? It was, you know, where did it come from, or was it something that was just brought to you and you said, let's do it? I mean, how did that come together?
In 2011, we lost to Waka. Mark Waka. I think it's Mark Waka. But anyway, the big leaguer, right? The right-hander. We lost in the championship game at College Station to Mark Waka. And so we got on the charter flight and we landed. We landed at the airport, and Greg Byrne called me up. Hey, Greg, you're Andy, this and that. He goes, hey, what are you doing? I said, nothing. I'm at the airport. He says, meet me at High Corbett. There's no lie. Meet me at High Corbett. What? He said, just meet me at High Corbett. So I drove over to High Corbett, and we walked around a little bit, and he said, well, what about if we play a series here? We had, I think we had Rice and somebody else scheduled in next year. So I said, yeah, it'd be a great series. Okay, well, yeah, let's play a series. Yeah, okay. So then I said goodbye, and I came home. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, he called me up and said, hey, meet me at High Corbett again. I said, what's going on? He said, just meet me there. But this time there was Rocky LaRose, there was Greg, there was some other people, and there were some people that I forgive me, I don't remember the names, from the city. And we walked around, and we walked all over and this and that, and I went, oh, this is a little bit more than a series. And at the end of the meeting in the parking lot, Greg said, you know, we're thinking about moving here. What do you think? And I went, whoa. I said, man, I think it'd be great. I mean, I like Coach Kendall. I didn't want to lose that, you know, that on-campus site. But in all realities, here's the truth. I was a shortstop at UCLA, and I remember flying in here in 1975, 1976 to Tucson, Arizona, and playing a 3-game series. We weren't in the conference, or they weren't in our conference back then. But we played a 3-game series against Arizona, and then we went and played Arizona State. And I remember getting in the airport and flying back as a young man and saying to my roommate or buddies on the team, I go, man, Arizona and Arizona State have beautiful baseball stadiums. Nobody had stadiums in L.A. Nobody. I mean, nobody was even close to the stadiums at Arizona and Arizona State. And I used to say this a lot. Those were the same stadiums I coached in when I took the job in 2001.
Right.
I mean, they were exactly the same.
Right.
So they were great in the 70s, but a little bit behind in 2000. So it was a great move, and although you lost the on-campus site, Fantastic situation. You know, we were a 1 seed twice, and we didn't host. We were 1 seed at Fullerton. We were 1 seed in 2005, number 1 seed, and we had to go to Fullerton as the number 1 seed. And then we went to Michigan as the number 1 seed. And those are two opportunities, you know, because, again, if you're home for postseason, you've got a big chance of getting to Omaha. And so, hey, man, 2012, we're 1 seed, we're home, and you know, everything else falls into place. So it's a great move. It
has been. It just injected so much energy into the program, and it's been great ever since then. It's just fun to go out and catch a ball game there.
I agree.
And such a good place to watch a game. And did the game change when you moved there for you?
Oh, man. Did it ever? Man, in fact, that's where we came up with our infamous, you know, hard and low is going to win, hard and high is going to make a lot of outs. In other words, we went over in January. In fact, it was late January, and we moved all our stuff to High Corbett from Sunset and McHale, all our players, and we all moved over. And we worked out that afternoon. And you know, Ref Snyder and Rickert and Mejia's Green were all hitting long fly balls, and they're getting caught. And at the end of the day, I got it, which was my routine. I always got the guys at second base before or after practice. And I said, hey, fellas, here's the thing, man. This is our home facility now, and this is either going to be to our advantage or it's going to be to our detriment. If you hit it hard and high, it's going to get caught. But if you hit it hard and low, it's going to get in those gaps, and, man, we're going to lead the nation in doubles and triples. And lo and behold, we get to Ameritrade. And after our first workout, I mean, I could not believe when we got on the bus and how many guys on the club were going, hey, man, this is like High Corbett. Ameritrade is just like High Corbett. And it is. It's, you know, it's a spacious park, and the wind is blowing in and on and on and on. So it was like home for our hitters being at the College World Series in 2012 because we had to adjust to High Corbett.
Nice.
That's a great story. I love hearing how that thing came together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Andy, we got to have you back. Anytime you're bored, let us know so you can just call in.
Well, let me open my calendar and look at my schedule. Yeah.
When you're at Fry's buying the bananas.
Good tomorrow, good Friday, good next Monday.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm good till about 2025.
We'll find you then. You don't beware when you see my text. You know I want you on the show.
There you go. Hey, thanks for having me. And Jay, listen, man, I'm going to be praying for you, Jay. If you got to work with Rivera, man, you need prayers.
I've known him long enough to know that, Andy. So I do appreciate. I do appreciate that.
I will be praying. Hey, we all got to carry our burdens in life, Jay. You know that.
I appreciate it, Andy.
Adios mio, as my dad would say.
There you go.
Great to talk to you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, fellas.
Thanks so much. All right.
Bye-bye.
That was Andy Lopez, one of the great guys at U of A. Let's take a quick break on 10:30 The Voice. Come back and talk more sports.
Listen to the live stream and find podcasts of your favorite shows at kvoi.com.
These days, most families are concerned with having the right insurance coverage. Protecting your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions can be challenging and sometimes expensive. Crest Insurance gives you flexible options and solutions while saving you money. Insurance is not one size fits all, and at Crest, we find the coverage that's best for you and your family. Visit us online at www.crestins.com or call us toll free at 888-881-5765.
If you like sitting around the porch or dinner table sharing stories with friends, that's what we like to do here at Our American Stories. I'm Lee Habib, and each weeknight we bring to you stories about American love, funny stories about first jobs, this day in history, American dreamers and marriages, and even the stories of music and acting legends. I invite you to sit around the porch with us as we share Our American Stories.
Evenings from 7 to 9 on 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
Trusted local news and talk. All day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. alongside Jay Gonzales. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. I love Andy. He's, again, when you see that, he went to all these different places, and you can tell he's fallen in love with Tucson, and he's here and he loves it, and it showed in the job he did coaching, and so he, great guy to have around, great guy to be a part of our community.
Right. The guy I wish I would have had on the show was Dick Tomey, because he was a great storyteller.
Oh, terrific storyteller. Always, and he had been, through so many things. So yeah,
right.
It would have been great to have him on.
Right. But Rich Tomey has been a frequent guest, and he's good too.
Yeah, we'll get Rich again. It's hard for me to see how old he looks now, but
well, he looks a lot like his dad.
He was a teenager when we started playing baseball
right.
together, and he was a stud baseball player and big, strapping, good-looking guy, and just he got old. He's all gray.
We all do, Jay.
He's all gray, man. It's just like, wow. So,
right.
I love Rich.
Right. So let's talk more about sports. What's going on at ASU?
Man, they've got a mess going on up there. I mean, they're trying to minimize it now, but you had this situation apparently that cropped up back in December, and there's a booster who apparently, according to Bobby Hurley, was sexually harassing some staff members, and Bobby Hurley saw it and wanted something done about it, and he sent this email to Ray Anderson, the athletic director, and it's a pretty alarming email in some of the accusations that are made, and
right.
you get it, and you kind of got a sense that Bobby Hurley's not very happy with his AD. And then there was a return email, and Ray Anderson is trying to kind of keep a lid on it and hold it down, but it's out. It's one of those things that, a public a government institution essentially, and somebody got a hold of the emails, and it's a bad look for ASU right now.
And then the last couple of hours, though, they're trying to soft shoe it in a kumbaya. Right.
So the issue a statement from Bobby Hurley saying his relationship with the AD is strong and all these kinds of things, but if you've ever been a PR guy, you've had to write one of those, and it's just you're just trying to hold off the dog. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out over there. But it's a bad look. It's a bad look with this whole atmosphere of people being tolerant of sexual harassment and those kinds of things. And right now, there's already people calling for Ray Anderson to be fired for his response.
Well, and that's the thing, because the program itself is on the rise.
Right.
It's on a nice rise for ASU, because, come on, since it hasn't been good since probably Bill Frieder, and that went to crap.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. So they've been bad for a while. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen there. Stay tuned. It's one of those soap opera things that's going on up there.
Right. People in Tucson are looking because they're going, yes.
Yeah, just when ASU starts to get its act together in basketball, something like this creeps up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Right. What else is going on? So we had football.
We've got. I wanted to give a shout out to some U of A All-Americans in track. There were 4 indoor track All-Americans announced at the U of A. The great thing about that, 2 of them are local kids. Carlos Villarreal, the kid who runs the mile out of Rio Rico, was named an All-American today. And then Justice Somerset out of Mountain View High School as a high jumper. He was named an All-American. Both of them are seniors. So, their track careers at the U of A are over. And then two more athletes, Israel Oloyedi. My daughter's going to be mad at me because Oloyedi is the last name, I believe. He's a thrower, and then Alexa Porpaxi, a high jumper. They were all named All-Americans today, so good for them. Fred Harvey's had a good program there for a long time. We got to get him on our show sometime soon.
Yeah, he's good too,
because he's a good guy.
He's a Steeler guy. He loves the Steelers.
Okay, well, all right.
Good luck with that.
I'll overlook that one. But it's always great to when you see these kids who just come and put in the work. Especially in when they're not playing football or basketball,
right.
They're not on TV all the time. They're doing this because they love doing this.
I was exactly going to tell you that, because you've been in the business long and I've been in the business long, where the minor sports people are some of the better stories.
Right, they are.
And they don't get covered.
Right, they don't get the coverage, and they don't get the accolades, and they don't get the visibility. But to see that these four kids have made are All-Americans, good for them.
So we talked about this briefly in the first 15 minutes. UA signed 2 more guys overseas, Euros.
Right.
One, probably the jewel of the whole program,
Right.
which is Azulis Tubulus, I think it's Tubulus, and he's 6'9". I think he's going to be the
6'9" kid,
he'll
lefty.
probably start right away at the 4.
Yeah.
6 foreigners.
6 international players on the team. I mean, it's, you know what, I think the basketball is going to look different.
No question.
I think it's going to look smoother.
Really?
I think you're gonna because what you hear about the European and international kids is that they're students of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just running up and down the field
sound.
running up and down the court trying to dunk. They're students of the game. They're coachable, and they work on the fundamental aspects of the game. And it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like when there's a whole team of them.
We only have 2 minutes left, so let me ask you. Last year was a different year. I won't say difficult year, but they should have been better than what they were. I'll say this.
Yeah.
One of the things that I heard from people was, well, they're fresh, they're young, they have the ways to get together. It'll take months before they actually get together. This is no different next year with all these newcomers.
Well, but the feeling is that none of these guys are one and done players.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there's going to be a bunch of newcomers again next year. The thing is, they may be around after that.
So you don't see any growing pains? Maybe a little.
No, there may be a little, but maybe a little. But again, you'd like to think that these guys who are they play in systems where they have to do the fundamental things.
Mm-hmm.
They have to shoot. They have to pass. They have to rebound, and those things are expected of them. Whereas they're not trying to be flashy. They just play the game. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sean Miller pulls these guys together and gets them to play together. I hope they all speak English because there's that. Because I know Adia Barnes had some of those issues with some of her European players. There are a couple of girls that got here and really couldn't speak English. Now they figured out ways to communicate, but what I'm interested to see is are these guys going to be able to come here, get into Sean Miller's system, and grasp it well enough to be a good team? And you know what? Maybe they have a tough first year, but the fact that these kids may be here longer than that, I think it bodes well.
From the fans that I spoke to today, they're more enthused about the year after. Because
exactly.
Be patient, guys.
Be patient. But, Sean's a good coach, and we'll see if he can put these guys together.
Great show today, Jay.
Another great show. Thank you to Andy Lopez. It was great having him on.
We'll try to pull it off tomorrow again.
We're gonna try and pull off a big one for tomorrow.
Right. Thanks, everybody, for listening here on 1030 The Voice.
Hi, this is Jim Click. Tucson's been hit hard by this pandemic. To keep Pima County safe, you need to keep your home. Governor Ducey knows this and issued an order to help. If you've lost income because of COVID-19 or quarantine, have a school-age child at home, or a health condition that increases your risk of illness, you can notify your landlord in writing and delay an eviction. You will still owe back rent. Talk about a payment plan with your landlord today. Without housing, we lose jobs, our children suffer, and we increase the spread of the virus. So communicate with your landlord now. You can download a letter for your landlord now at jp.pima.gov.
www.goherenext.com.
This is a 1030 KVOI News.
Hey, good afternoon.
And, you can have
quick break, get a hold of Andy Lopez, and come back here on 1030 The Voice.
Time to update those old kitchen cabinets? Call the Window Depot today. The Window Depot is not only the #1 warehouse for windows.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And now on the phone we have former...
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Buyers were out in force on Wall Street. Stocks extended their winning streak.
Go local. Make the switch. At Hughes Federal Credit Union, we offer customized solutions and get you what you need faster. Like our quick and easy...
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside... Quick break on 1030 The Voice. Come back and talk more sports.
These days, most...
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. Thanks everybody for listening here on 1030 The Voice.